Thanks everybody for coming today for today's webinar. It's great to have you with us for today's discussion, which is Reinventing Colo, a blueprint for global interconnectivity and market access. I'm Matt Reinholds. I'm today's moderator, and I'm responsible for the EMEA Network Services and Data business at IPC. And I'm joined by today's panel, and thank you very much for everyone being with us on the panel today. I have Zach Cattell, who is the head of pre-sales at Beeks, Nasheen Sharma, technical account manager, Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Tabelo Tosaeli, the chief information officer from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and Zach Hodgson, marketing director from STT. So what are we going to discuss today? Well, really it's about an industry collaboration between IPC, Beeks, and the JSE. It's really around a new technology model for accessing the JSE's markets. It's been called Colo 2.0, and we believe it really signifies a change from old to new and how customers can leverage technology in relation to market access. So we're going to discuss more about the service and what it is during the course of the webinar, how customers are using the service, the use cases, as well as industry trends around technology, and how the service fits in also with the overall strategy of the JSE. So plenty to come. In the meantime, though, I just wanted to introduce IPC. IPC are a dedicated fintech. We've been around for 50 years, and we provide communication services for the trade floor and a suite of infrastructure services to facilitate electronic trading across the global capital markets ecosystem. Such services as market data, both raw and normalized, ultra latency connectivity, colo hosting, analytics, and extranet services. And we have many partners. One very key strategic partner of ours is Beeks. And to tell you a little bit more about Beeks, who they are, what they do, and how we worked together with the JSE to create Colo 2.0 is Zach Cattell. Zach, I'll hand over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. So hello, everyone. Beeks may be a new name to some of you, so I wanted to put it in context. We are based out of Glasgow, Scotland. We were founded in 2011, as you can see in the timeline, focusing on the retail foreign exchange space. And since then, we have steadily grown to deal with more sophisticated capital markets requirements. Beeks was transformed in 2020, as you can see, with the acquisition of Velocimetrics, which is an analytics company who some of you might already know. This combination delivers cloud-like infrastructure in co-locations with capital markets grade network visibility and performance management. So in September of 2023, Beeks came together with IPC to announce a partnership with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. With the JSE, we are giving their clients flexible bare metal and virtual compute combined with low latency access to the exchange and wire-level performance analytics while being remotely monitored from our headquarters in Glasgow, Scotland, 24/7, 365 days a year. Now, the JSE partnership is a real delivery of a cloud implementation in an exchange's data center, and we are excited to be the first company to have achieved this. The major cloud service providers, or as we all know them as CSPs, have famously become gravity wells for the capital markets. What starts as a symbiotic relationship morphs into a quicksand for their clients. This is where Beeks' Exchange Cloud, or JSE's Colo 2.0, comes in. Specifically built for the capital markets, the Exchange Cloud is a multi-tenant, a fully configured and pre-installed physical trading environment co-located within the exchange's data center that offers private infrastructure as a service to their customers. The Exchange Cloud is also complemented with an analytics tool that delivers open architecture, comprehensive monitoring, and rich analytics that enables our customers to experience the very best performance in high-speed trading environments. While we are partnering with IPC and JSE to bring the best trading experience to JSE's customers, significant leaps are being achieved in the market world or capital markets world. And not surprisingly, as everyone knows, cloud is the leader in all these trends. The beginning of the decade or the early 2020s saw the major global stock exchanges around the world partnering with cloud service providers and trying to move their matching engines into low latency edge machines residing within the exchange's data centers. That migration or move prompted kind of the reimagination of co-location with these low latency offerings. While migrating exchanges to the public cloud comes with its own challenges like fair access requirements and determinism, the JSC Colo 2.0 offering kind of checks all the boxes when it comes to fairness and determinism. And we enable the growth of a financial market industry cloud or an ecosystem. The next biggest thing, as you can see on the slide, that is gaining traction in FMIs or the financial markets industry is intelligent automation. Now, most of you are familiar with RPAs and how the bots can do a lot of automation on the backend office processes. There is this new concept, which is intelligent automation, basically, which means that it can learn to automate using cognitive decision-making capabilities, which are not part of RPAs. Now, in 2023, there was a major announcement with the technology, and it came in the format of Gen AI. This is likely something that we're going to see a lot more into the coming years. Specifically, the application of generative AI to analyze historical market data, identifying patterns and correlations to generate trading signals and spot new investment opportunities will be the major focus of Gen AI. Last but not the least, the other key trend that has been a focus for a lot of CTOs is the area of sustainability or ESG. Renewable resources, recycling, and reducing the carbon footprint are among the initiatives that will be the focus for most of the CTOs of the financial markets industry. So Beex's co-location solution actually provides high density and low latency on-demand compute, contributing to the sustainability of our planet. So while we are busy partnering with IPC and JSE, and the outside world is experimenting with the cloud in the form of all the trends that I talked about, we are maintaining a global infrastructure footprint in most of the financial hubs around the world, and we cater to needs of most of the industries that we are supporting. Thank you for your time. Matt.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for that. To hear about some of the specifics to do with the Colo 2.0 service, as well as some of the wider trends that you're noticing in the market. So thanks very much for that. So now just to touch on a little bit more about the JSE and their overall strategy and how Colo 2.0 fits within it, I'm going to hand you over to the CIO, Tabelo Toseli. Thanks, Tabelo.
Thank you, Matthew. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to provide you with a bit of context with regards to how this capability and offering really aligns with our overall group strategy. So as part of our strategy, we continue to position ourselves as a leading hub for innovation within the international financial markets. Hence the reason we decided to launch Colo 2.0 in 2023 in partnership with Beex and IPC, Colo 2.0 has a very strong alignment to the JSE Group strategy and is really anchored around three of our strategic pillars, namely the first being that of delivering new annuity revenue. Colo is really a capability or service offering that allows us to create that alternative revenue stream that is meant to complement our existing cyclical revenue streams that come from our core traditional services such as trading, clearing, and market data. Our second pillar really talks to defending and growing the core of our business. This really essentially talks to introducing additional value-add services to our clients and ensuring that we continue to provision them with more services and capabilities on top of what we already provisioning them with. And then lastly, we have our pillar that talks to transformation of our business. This is really where we seek to innovate and provide innovative solutions for our clients through some of the existing partnerships we have in the form of BICS and IPC. We also continue to seek further partnerships that will certainly enable us to introduce further services into the market. So some of the core benefits to our clients are really, entail providing lower all-in costs to the clients to ensure that, from an affordability perspective, they are able to take up, space within our co-location and be within close proximity to our matching engine. We continue to strive for service excellence in what we do. We have very tight SLAs and we continue to achieve those. Part of the Colo offering also looks at how we intend to address, liquidity and fragmentation challenges that we currently are facing within the South African market. And one of the key elements, I guess, which is quite critical for our clients is that the service is venue agnostic. So it doesn't certainly just limit you to the JSE as an exchange. And then I think lastly, with the introduction of Colo, we certainly are eliminating those barriers to entry into the capital markets ecosystem on the continent. And through this partnership, we intend to obviously look at how we leverage IPC and BICS's reach globally with their access to 150 data centers. This collaboration will certainly open up further opportunities for us as the JSE to start onboarding new international clients and unlock those geographical regions from a new client perspective. The intent is also to really look at how we explore options that could see Colo playing a role in providing financial market infrastructure further afield to our African counterparts on the African continent. With that said, I'm now going to hand over back to you, Matthew.
Thanks, Tabelo. Thanks very much. So look, I think now we're going to hand over to Nash. Nasheen, over to you to just take us through specifically the service and some of the use cases out there for customers at the moment.
Thank you, Matt. Afternoon, everyone. The Tabelo touched on our very key strategic pillars, and that is what has driven us to move towards the service. And we saw our Colo data center as an asset, and how do we leverage that? And the service provided to us was to lower, and we want to lower all-in costs and be transparent and make sure it's transparent to our clients, and give them an opportunity not just to the sort of top 10 tier 1 brokers, but all brokers to have an opportunity to play in a space, have an advantage of the latency. However, some of them don't have the necessary CapEx investment to invest up front. And this opportunity has provided them, and the service has provided them that opportunity from both network, infrastructure, as well as the analytics piece. It solved a key problem locally where we've seen clients having to source services of network, infrastructure, analytics to different parts of different vendors. This is definitely consolidated, brought into one. Another key part of this service is, before I get into some of the use cases, was whilst we saw this as an opportunity to lower costs from an infrastructure perspective, We have a concept in South Africa called shared infrastructure providers, specifically the likes of application shared infrastructure providers. And we wanted to partner with those who are offering application services to our clients to help lower the costs and also help them build their businesses. They're not in the space, and hence why we've got our colleague Zach Hodgson from STT, and he'll touch on his experience on this and the benefits that it's brought on to clients from their perspective. As I said, the two critical parts was lowering costs, ease of access, and achieving service excellence. In that, we saw a gap specifically for a set of clients, and a set of use cases. And the amazing part is, and the brilliant part of the solution is, as we've onboarded and as we've evolved month on month, we've actually found that there's new services. I mean, there's new use cases. Initially, we identified it very specific for our trading members, clearing members, information subscribers, shared infrastructure providers, and software providers. And some of the core use cases were primarily around trading, running your trading application, market data, running your post-trade application. But what this has ballooned into and sort of opened up opportunities is we've taken an opportunity to first time in the JSE's in the history of our Colo data center to offer all services through co-location. Previously, it was just trading and market data. We've now opened the gate to post-trade, end-of-day market data platforms. And this has allowed clients to actually consolidate their access, save from having multiple lines into the JSE. Some have seen it and just run their post-trade services. Some have used it just for the test services. And we've even had the likes of risk management providers now join the bandwagon and provide risk management service, live risk management services onto clients. So the use cases has continued to grow. The benefits clients have continued to grow as they use, we also offer a discount on pricing as you increase your footprint with us. But the most amazing part of the solution is being that the turnaround time, which we've managed to achieve, which is aligned to one of our key pillars of achieving service excellence. In our first 22 servers that we've onboarded, 20 have been delivered to the client end-to-end, connected to trading and market data within 24 hours. Yes, there have been some that have not done that, and that's because of either onboarding forms not completed correctly or administrative stuff. But that proves the value of what we are trying to achieve, proves the commitment and the excellence of the Beaks support team as well, which have continued to deliver. And long may that continue and hopefully we'll have more happy clients. Thank you, Matthew. Hand over back to you.
Thanks, Nash. And some really good kind of messages there. I think before we move across to Zach from STT, it's worthwhile just touching with yourself a little bit on kind of what you said about, you launched the service, with the belief that it was really around trading and market data. But then as the service has kind of evolved, it's now around all the services, so accessing all of the services from the JSE. And I guess that in turn has allowed customers to standardize their technology with regards to access, which lowers their cost, lowers their overheads, and allows you to, like I say, align with one of those pillars around service excellence. So quite a nice kind of, story there in terms of how the service began and then how it's kind of, I suppose, evolved into something slightly different to what, the intention was.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, Matt, just to add, just to be clear, we have 3 networks. We have a client access network, which is for non-latency sensitive. Then there's Colo as well as our DR. So clients who sort of were using the client access and Colo could now consolidate and drop a line and save significant costs just from having a line plus maintenance. And, with us now adding a secondary solution at an alternate site, which we'll announce in the coming months, it gives us that fully managed solutions and it allows clients to achieve true economies of scale, and that is beneficial to the businesses.
Yeah, there's the integrated technology stack there, right? As you said, everything's bundled together, network server,
Most
the
definitely.
analytics as well, which is really interesting. Was anything more you wanted to touch on there for the risk gateways? You mentioned about people starting to look at it from a risk perspective as well, Nash.
Yeah. So as I said, it's actually it's not a separate gateway. The sort of risk and surveillance and monitoring providers have now seen. We've had 2 providers of that nature that have come on board with us and they access our real-time drop copy and post-trade gateways across the respective markets.
Yep.
So they've now been able to offer shared services, whereas before they would have had to deploy on-prem services to those clients. So they've now become shared infrastructure providers with the JSE, and add value to their clients by now achieving those necessary discounts to the volume as well, and thus affecting their pricing as well. So yeah, it's been a real positive success, Matt.
Right. No, it's good to hear, and thanks for just adding some more things on there at the end. So look, if we move on now to Zach Hodgson, so Zach works for STT, one of the early adopters of the service in the JSE. If we just move on to, if we stay on the slide actually. But Zach, yeah, from your perspective, what are some of the things that you've gained, do you think, as a business by being part of this service and one of the early adopters?
Thanks, Matt. Can you hear me okay? Just checking.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, Nash kind of said all the key words, lowering costs, turnaround time, economies of scale. Nash kind of covered everything, but I suppose, yeah, it boils down to, from SCT, we're a software vendor. So obviously trading, clearing, market surveillance, all of our clients. Before, if we wanted to offer software as a service, it was a lot more expensive in co-location, right? So, I mean, to paint a simple picture, it comes down to economies of scale. We had 2 options. You either invest heavily in infrastructure and then hope you attract enough clients to make it economically viable, or which, obviously infrastructure has an expiration date. So if you don't get enough clients within a short amount of time, it becomes rather expensive. So even with, we don't provide every client in the market. So, and our market isn't as big as other international markets. So economies of scale are harder for software vendors like us. So either you invest heavily, or the alternative is you wait for the client. You wait to sign a client, and once you've signed a big enough client, then you invest in servers and you put them in co-location. Still rather expensive because you need to make a profit, and the turnaround times, now you're talking weeks, months, lead times to get everything up and running. So with a service, obviously, yeah, we as a software vendor, it's created new opportunities for us to provide a complete solution to our clients, provide software as a service in co-location. The turnaround times are great. The pricing is competitive. Obviously, the fact that it's supplied by Beeks and JSE is also something that's really attractive, because Beeks being SOC 1, SOC 2, 27001 and the lot accreditation. When you're talking to big banks, big corporates, they require a lot of they've got a lot of stringent policies when it comes to IT security. So again, even if you're supplying it on your own, it becomes really expensive to do so. So the solution is really attractive, not just for software vendors, for clients that are moving the stuff from on-prem to co-location. We've seen a lot of interest on our side. Obviously, clients that were hosting on-prem, so we're moving them to co-location, into Colo 2.0. We've also got a lot of smaller brokers that weren't in Colo, that couldn't afford to be in Colo. We provide quite a few algos in the commodity space, and now they're utilizing the Colo 2.0 because it makes sense. So it's been a really positive impact I think, for the SA market as a whole. And yeah, we're grateful. And that's not talking about the potential other opportunities when it comes to connectivity to other markets. We've got a few connections going with other markets, international markets. One of them is Mauritius. So we're hoping with other connectivity possibilities through IPC and through all of the options that are coming, that we can not just offer our local clients software as a service for the JSE markets, but for connectivity, whether it's data or trading to international markets. So yeah, a lot of potential.
I was going to touch on that, something for both you, Zach, and also yourself, Dash, around using the service to attract more international clients, both to South Africa, but also, I guess, more specifically in your case, Zach, being able to, leverage your service out into other markets using the scalability that the Beaks and the service provides. So is that something that you're currently exploring and something you see? It sounds like both of you see quite big potential in that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of South African brokers looking to expand. I mean, they need to differentiate themselves. They need to expand the business. They're looking at how they can trade international markets. Being able to provide the connectivity to those markets from co-location. If they're already in Colo, we already provide software that connects to the JSE. Now we just have to switch them on. They can trade internationally or connect to an international hub that can allow them to get some flow to internationals without it costing too much for them. Is really a great opportunity. Internationals coming in as well, obviously. But yeah, so I'll let Nash jump in here because I think he was.
Yes.
So I think us as the JC, I think we've always seen ourselves as the gateway to the African continent, and in our solutions that we're putting out there, we want to enable not just the footprint of the visible footprint, but the digital footprint. And through the services we're offering, would like to open that up. We have local regulation that has allowed, our local both asset managers and sell side to take a higher percentage offshore. And whilst it does impact liquidity, we support that because it allows the man in the street to have a more diverse portfolio, and we'd like to see ourselves as enablers for helping our brokers achieve that again at the right price, with the right level of service. I think that's critical for us. Over and above that, we see us as supporters of our brothers and sisters in the other African countries, in the other African exchanges. We would like to take learnings to them, and through partnerships with the likes of STT, who've got a good footprint, like to see how we could enable and assist those exchanges we have good relationships with as well. So there's definitely play for both Africa and international.
Yeah, great, good. Thanks for adding a little bit more in there, Nash. One thing I just wanted to touch base on before we move on to one or two other topics, and I come back to Zach from Beaks. There's something you referenced around the analytics side, and it's something I hear a lot of customers in the market when I talk to them saying greater observability. This word about really wanting to understand at a granular level, the complete life cycle of the trade, or not just the infrastructure and the application and so on, but the trade life cycle. Can you just touch a little bit on that, Zach, a little bit more around the Beaks Analytics service and how by embedding that into this technology stack, that's again bringing greater value to customers?
Yep. So our product, which is the Exchange Cloud offering, which we are delivering to JSE, that comes with a standard set of reports that will actually allow a customer to go and look into what is happening with their trade or what is happening along the network. But there is, again, significant other offerings, like we have other capabilities, like somebody wants to do a deeper dive into the analytics side. We do have another offering that we can work with JSE and then we give visibility into multiple networks. And that's something that we can work with JSE. But again, there are multiple offerings, but out of the box, what comes with Exchange Cloud are basic standard reports that almost covers most of the 90% of the requirements that a customer goes through or requires. But there's always those HFTs who require some in-depth queries, and those queries can be achieved with the offerings that we have that we can always share after this webinar as well. So.
Sure, great. Thanks for that. So look, time for some questions. We've got a couple that have come in. So I just wanted to go through some of these. So the first question I've got here, what advantages does a build your own approach offer to an end client compared to Colocation 2.0? Nash, maybe this is one for you.
Yeah, I think if you look at excuse me, a build your own approach, it's more focused around sort of the control that you could have around the service. Could be, you could have some sort of security concerns that you would feel that's best for your organization to manage. But if I compare it to sort of Colo 2 and what we bring to the table through the service it's the security meets, as Zach mentioned, the necessary security levels. We do offer the opportunity of ad hoc audits if needed, the fully managed service, no capex investment, and the opportunity to also refresh your equipment, obviously if you extend your contract, for free of charge. And I think sort of comparing those pros and cons definitely shows the benefit. But I suppose it's not fit for every business. Sort of certain trading styles, certain trading entities will not want a shared service. But for whatever reason, either the ultra low latency. But the only additional piece that's added that adds latency is the hypervisor layer, which is around 50 nanoseconds before it reaches the top of rack, and allows you the 10 microseconds for the Colo environment that we've been delivering as a JSE. So hopefully I've answered that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appropriately.
I think you have. Good. That's good. Right, another question that's come in here, which is why did the JSE choose this path, particularly regarding the benefits for an exchange with an established colocation offering? I think Tabello, yep.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Matthew. So I think for us, a couple of things of which some have already been touched on by the colleagues online. The first is really more around our revenue diversification strategy, which talks to identifying alternative revenue streams that will certainly complement, our existing revenue streams. But revenue aside, I think most importantly, it's the whole element around opening up access to the JSE ecosystem. We are of the view that Colo is here to stay, whether you talk about traditional Colo, but most importantly, we also wanted to ensure that we keep abreast of new developments from a Colo space perspective. And Colo 2.0 is certainly cutting edge in the sense that it eliminates the barriers to entry, provides ease of access, and a key element is also one that relates to cost, ensuring that we're no longer sitting with an environment where our co-location was just constrained to the top 10 brokers and international banks. We now have opened it up to the smaller brokers, medium-sized brokers, and they now have access to be within close proximity to our matching engine and market data. So those are really the main reasons. And yeah, I think in a nutshell, it really aligns with our overall strategy.
Thank you, Tabello. Great. That's thank you very much for that. Another question that's come in. We've got a few here. I'll get through them. And I think this might have come on the back of what we were just talking about, Zach could tell. This is, with the built-in analytics capabilities, is there still a need for costly third-party monitoring solutions?
Technically, no. Like I was addressing the earlier question from you, Matt, Most of, or 90% of the customers are happy with the standard reports that we offer. But if there is a need or like a customer who requires in-depth analysis of their trading network or on their latency for the network, then we can provide an additional solution, or we call it as an enterprise deployment. And we can work with JSC on that, providing on a customer by customer basis. But to answer your question, most of the times the standard reports does function or serves the purpose for the customers.
Got it. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Next question is, if clients require dedicated infrastructure, can this be accommodated? For instance, if we need multiple racks, can these be dedicated to a single client, or is a multi-tenant solution the only option?
Yeah, I can take that, Matt.
Yep. Go for it.
So we do have both the offerings. I think if you would have seen the slide that when I was talking to the industry cloud or the offerings that we have, with JSC, we are doing Exchange Cloud, but we do also have something called as a proximity cloud solution, which is not multi-tenant, but catering to a single client if they require, their own compute and with nobody coming into it, and that's a possibility as well. And again, Nash, if you want to add something there from your perspective, how you try to, okay.
Okay, great. So the answer is yes, in short. That just requires a slightly different solution. All right, we've got some other questions here. This one, probably a good one for you, Nash. If I am a London-based broker who is not a member firm in South Africa, can I use this to trade through a member firm into South Africa?
Yes, most definitely. I think, you would partner with the member firm, register as a client with them. And then from a technical aspect, because Colo 2 is set up within the same co-location racks, it has the same, so it makes the same space as an equidistance in terms of the other Colo racks. It's just a matter of a cross connect to that broker's risk layer. So we meet the necessary compliance requirements, and then you would be able to access the markets from there. Obviously, this is a simplified version. There's lots of paperwork that needs to be done in the background, but definitely that can happen.
Okay, great. And I think you might have just kind of answered this question, but how have you addressed the equidistant cabling for clients on the Beats platform versus traditional Colo?
So Beats and the Beats platform are within two Colo racks that have in our Colo DC. So we do not have a proximity hosting setup. So that is how we've addressed that. So they all achieve the same equidistant cabling. The only difference is the hypervisor layer within the solution, which is like a switch within somebody else's rack.
Got it. So no issues there really between 2.0 versus the more traditional Colo. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Good stuff. And this is probably one for you as well, Nash, and or Tabello, but it's really, are there plans for the Colo 2.0 service to be extended out to another data center in South Africa, not just the JSC co-location facility?
I'll hand it over to Nash. Yeah.
Most definitely. And I'm going to say the answer is yes. And I'm going to say, watch the space for the site.
Okay, good. Good, that's good. Okay, just seeing if there are any other questions that are coming. I think we've got most of them there, actually. Yes. I think that's it. So look, closing remarks. I'll make a few and then I'll hand over to Nash, yourself, Tabello, Zach, anybody else who has them. But I think some of the main things that come out here really with regards to the discussion today, if we just look at the Colo 2.0 service in isolation for a moment, one thing that we haven't really dwelled on much is time to market. I think, Nash, you mentioned it quickly where you had the example of a customer who literally, outside of any administration headaches, is up and running, access to all of your services within 24 hours. Yeah, sorry, expand on that.
20 of the 24 VMs and physical servers have been delivered within 24 hours. So we hope that continues, and Gordon's team, the Beaks team, the support team, I think that highlights the phenomenal nature and the experience behind which they have to deliver that.
So that's a phenomenal story. I mean, time to market in this market is everything. If people can get up and running on a market within that amount of time, that's a huge advantage, isn't it?
Yeah. And our previous technical enablement process to go through we have a live connectivity test. We've also evolved that. Maybe we had brought that down to within 3 to 4 days. Previously, it was 7 to 10 days. So it also shows the journey of how we've evolved our market access from having 10 days, 10 working days, down to 3 to 4 days. And now, within 24 hours is superb. That's to say, that's when we present the VM. Some clients have taken time, to set up their own software to get up. But yeah, for the VM to be presented and connected to the trading and market data gateways, definitely a phenomenal effort from the Beaks team.
Okay, brilliant. So there's a time to market, there's the observability, which is integrated into the stack via the analytics service, which we've touched on. And then I think the other things really that we were talking about were really around the standardization of the service. It's a common platform that can be used to access all services from the JSE, not just a couple. And in turn, that helps to lower cost and provide in turn, a better overall service. So some great advantages there. And I think the other thing that we kind of touched on a little bit as well, which is an important message here, is around the transparent costs.
Absolutely.
So, everything is set in stone in terms of pricing. You know what you're going to pay for, what you're going to get. There are no kind of costs for data coming into the cloud, out of the cloud, and so on as well, which is an important point to get across.
Yeah. And I think, one point which will be quite far away because it's sort of 4 years away, but is the refresh free of charge if clients extend their contracts. The Beaks team have committed, and I can't. They will need to live up to this, but between 2 to 3 weeks, depending on delivery. But that, to give that an example, some clients have seen that as true value because it's taken them sometimes a year because of the internal processes and control. So, Beaks team, we've laid down the table. So let's deliver on that. I think that's critical for us. But that's the possibility of what the solution brings in as well. It's a critical one for a lot, especially in today's world where the delivery of equipment we know is not the shortest time frame.
Can be challenging. Absolutely. So look, great. I think that brings us to a close. So look, everybody, appreciate your time. Thank you for the questions. Really thank the panel for your time today and your contribution. Thank you very much. We look forward to future webinars. Thank you all.